For the first time, I think, in 3 years, property prices in 36 of the 100 cities surveyed actually declined. And there have been some really hefty discounts. Even a major city like Hangzhou, in Zhejiang province, some developers had to cut prices, some up to something like 25%. The truth is, market forces have finally caught up with the property market. There has been a terrible oversupply of flats in China. You go around China, everywhere you see gold cities, city blocks, or even the small towns with no people living there. So the the ordinary citizens are not buying flats because they get no return. And the government is contemplating raising property tax, so that will really stop people cold. And I think the government does not have to do anything, and the property market will cool down by itself.
Right, and I guess, Francis, that would be different than last year because we heard a lot of this rhetoric last year, but home prices just kept rising and rising. As you say, though, we have seen home price inflation ease a little bit this year. But do you really think that the Chinese government is going to let the property market slow very much? I mean, we did get that 7.5% GDP target, and property makes up, what, about 20% of GDP? If we see a real slowdown, that is going to mean a real slowdown for economic growth overall.
Definitely. Up to now, China's economic growth has been based on the fixed asset investment, meaning property or infrastructure. But the problem is you have terrible oversupply, like the property market. There are enough flats to supply the market for at least 5 years. So Premier Li Keqiang already said, we don't have to chase the numbers. We want quality, not quantity. And so I think they will go slow and even stop lending to the property sector to avoid this terrible oversupply and digest this oversupply.
But Francis, isn't there a big difference between what we're seeing in the first-tier cities, the second-tier and the third-tier cities, and this whole urbanization plan? That's supposed to fill all of these ghost towns, isn't it?
Well, the problem with the urbanization is that if everybody goes out and rush to build new flats, then you have miles and miles of ghost cities all over China, and that will be a terrible waste. And some economists even said this is a cancer on the Chinese economy. They have to do something to correct it. So I think the government is doing the right thing. Let the market correct itself, and they do not have to do anything. Just let the oversupply depress the prices.
Okay, so in the meantime, while the market corrects itself, what's going to happen to those developers who are still building, and they're assuming a lot of debt? A lot of them have US dollar debt. What's going to happen to them?
Well, I think it will be like the solar energy sector. Some will go into default. And I think that will be a healthy thing because several of the very heavily indebted developers already seek help last year and the year before. And this year, I think many of the heavily indebted developers will go under. And so I think after the decline of the property sector, and then you will have the fall of the bond sector, especially corporate bond by property developers.
So we're looking at a major consolidation in the property market. That's for sure, the developers.
Yeah, definitely. Except for the major ones like Wanke and China Overseas, etc. The heavily indebted ones will not be able to survive. But consider that in China you have thousands of developers. That will be a good thing, actually.
I mean, if you see the property sector start to look like the solar sector, you're talking about a crash of huge proportions, aren't you? I mean, is that a hard landing that you're talking about?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I like that straight answer.
A big crash in the China market. Okay, well, he used a lot of strong words today. Crash and a cancer on the economy. Way to go, Francis. Thank you so much for talking to us. It's great.